A quick look down the viability rankings for almost any ability. The tier where you can put any not super broken ability onto pretty much any Pokemon doesn't reveal too many surprises at first.
Yeah, luckily
Manatee.
it wasn't often owned by
Regenerator.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Defensively inclined Pokemon like Corviknight and Manaphy get some new tools that help stay healthy, while offensive powerhouses like Deoxys Speed and Zamazenta get some pretty cool new boosting options. Even more generalized Pokemon like Zapdos and Landorus Therian, they're so fundamentally solid, it makes sense why they're using these new tools to pretty good success. They can be both offensive or defensive, or even both. But among these high tiers of almost any ability, you will pretty quickly find a total weirdo. An NU Pokemon that's typically tiered lower than trash like Alolan Muck and Blastoise. That weirdo is Screamtail.
so we can all have Thanksgiving dinner together in this bar.
Hey, who invited the hippies?
Screamtail is not the most impressive Pokemon ever, to say the least. It is actually quite bulky, with a huge 115 HP stat and roughly 100 in both defenses, and it has a decent speed tier of 111 to boot. However, to say it hits like a wet noodle would be an insult to pasta makers everywhere. This thing has lower attacking stats than Castform, Lumineon, and fucking Wormadam trash. Yet despite this, the most common set for in almost any ability is actually an offensive one. In a tier with Adaptability Latios and Tough Claw Zamazenta, the Pokemon with just 65 special attack is used to deal damage. And the secret to this Pokemon's success is just two words: Pixelate, Boomburst. Boomburst is, bar none, the single most powerful attacking move without some kind of drawback. A normal type move with 140 base power. That is stronger than a Stab Thunderbolt before any modifications, and we will get to the modifications. Among the very few Pokemon with this move in Gen 9 is Screamtail,
You said Homer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Losers!
who's actually kinda perfectly equipped to use it here. In this metagame, it can give itself the Pixelate ability, which turns your normal type moves into fairy type moves, and applies an additional 20% boost on top of that. Put all of that together, and Screamtail is suddenly clicking a 252 base power move. That is stronger than Explosion. Suddenly that 65 special attack isn't looking so bad, is it? And it's not just a big button that Screamtail has to its name either. It also has a surprisingly deep move pool. You get some truly excellent utility options. There's Stealth Rock for a hazard hitter that OHKO's Great Tusk. You have Wish and Protect for some recovery. You have Encore and Thunder Wave for disruption. And Psychic Noise to prevent the opponent from healing. It also has Calm Mind for a setup option. With just one boost, you're suddenly getting some OHKOs, and a lot of your 3-hit KOs get tuned up to 2-hit KOs. Now, if you're desperate, it does also have some coverage options, namely Fire Blast. You don't want to pick Fire Blast though. Fire Blast and Flamethrower are both really weak without all the modifiers that Boomburst has. You're doing 46% max to Iron Treads with a Fire Blast. It's really not that great. Now these utility moves also give it a really notable role as a wall with Unaware or some other defensive ability. It can sit in front of threats like Zamazenta or Roaring Moon pretty much indefinitely with Wish and Protect. Now these sets are less flashy than Pixelate, but they do serve their purpose, and they're always going to be pretty relevant. These are all very real strengths for Screamtail, but it's not a perfect Pokemon. It has some notable issues. As touched on earlier, Screamtail is extremely lacking in damage outside of Boomburst, which means that bulky steel types like Heatran or Goldengo or even Corviknight can just kinda come in on it a bunch, and you can't really do much back to them. You can trick a Choice Scarf onto them if you're running that, or you can use Psychic Noise to delay the inevitable. But outside of those, it's really struggling to make progress into these steel types, let alone regenerator Pokemon like Primarina or Manaphy, who take its hits really well because they're running an Assault Vest. You really rely on teammates like Roaring Moon or Zamazenta to do damage to these Pokemon. And while it's pretty bulky in theory, in practice, you can't really take advantage of it that much. Your special attack is just so low, and you're already just barely outspeeding Latios and the Ogre Pawns, so you're pretty vulnerable to a stray hit. A Sheer Force Life Orb Deoxys Shadow Ball is doing around 70%, let alone a Protean Shadow Ball, even an uninvested Goldengo. No special attack EVs, can just OHKO you after Stealth Rock. Screamtail is not exactly in danger of falling off. It's still a very good Pokemon, currently ranked A- on the viability rankings. Many top players still think very highly of it. It is a very solid Pokemon, with a couple key weaknesses that hold it back from being a true top tier. And even in the worst case scenario, it's still doing better than pretty solid Pokemon like Chien-Pao and Ogerpon Hearthflame, both of which are banned at Ubers in standard play, while Screamtail is usually playing Kickball with the Gligar and Dunsparce down in NU. It's doing pretty good for itself. I hope you enjoyed this brief look into one of almost any ability's weirdest high tier Pokemon. This is one of my favorite tiers to play, build, and handle resources for. And I hope you appreciated this look behind the frosted glass. I'm Gimmicky, and this has been as gimmicky as it gets.